On this channel, I fairly regularly go over things like emotional trading and trading psychology. Now, unfortunately, it is still one of the most common questions that I receive. So things like, how do I overcome whatever emotional trading problem that I am going through? And even worse than that, I still regularly get messages from people who have already kind of had the explosion. They've had the meltdown, they've wiped out their trading account, or they've wiped out most of their trading account, and they're kind of looking for the roadmap of what they are supposed to do next, where they're supposed to go next. So in this video, I am going to go through step by step exactly the process that I used and I still use to get on top of emotional trading, to kind of put it in the rear view mirror so it no longer dominates what it is that I do as a trader. So it stops the blow-ups, and so it stops you going through the feeling of absolute misery when you have these absolute cock-ups. I even have notes set up for this video, sitting behind the camera to keep me on track so I don't end up rambling. My girlfriend does tell me that I ramble on. She's probably right. All you're going to need for this, some sort of notebook, a pen or a pencil, a lot of discipline, a lot of patience, and you have to do it regularly. I just dropped my pen. I'm going to throw the jotter down as well. Okay, so the first thing we need to do to get on top of emotional trading is understand that you can't conquer your emotions. It's not possible. You can't, it's never going to get to the point where you don't have emotional responses. What is going to happen is over time, you're going to start being able to identify when you're moving into the emotional response so you can react faster. But you will still have the odd mistake. The main thing is when you have the mistake, you're able to step in very quickly and stop it from spiraling. So this is the case for everyone. Me, every professional trader out there, because we are emotional beings. Even if you think of people who are the very top of their game, people who are working in banks with huge amounts of money. In banks, they have software on the computer, and they also have people whose only job it is to spot emotional trading as soon as it starts. And then when it starts, the job is the program cuts the trader off, or the person comes along, grabs them by the scruff of the neck, pulls them away from the computer and says you need to take a break. The reason they do that is because they understand anyone can move into a period of emotional trading. It just depends on kind of the perfect storm of what is going on. It cannot be completely conquered. You have to be alert to it. Now you, wonderful person that you are, have decided to become a retail trader. We don't have the software and we don't have the person whose only job it is to watch us and to tell us to stop. So we need to do it ourselves. It's very difficult, it's not impossible, but you have to be prepared for hiccups and mistakes along the way. The first thing we are going to do is we are going to review ourselves every single day. I already kind of talk about trading diaries, but this trading diary is focused specifically on you. Now, you want to do this every day, as I've mentioned. You can do it as the trading day is developing, which makes it a little bit easier to kind of get on top of exactly what was going on, or at the end of the day, whichever one you find easier. You're looking for the problems. And you're looking for the problems not only with the losing trades. That's very, very important. A lot of the time, our emotional trading or our stupid ass decisions are hidden by the market. So if I'm sitting and I'm watching and a setup's coming along and I'm thinking to myself, this is not what I look for, but you know what, I'm going to take it because of A, B, and C. Maybe it's got this pattern and this indicator is telling me these things that I don't even use, so I'm just going to take this trade. And then I'm getting ready, but it doesn't trigger or the market moves away. It's very easy to gloss over that and to ignore it. That is the problem, and you need to be alert to it, and you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to address it, because on another day, that's the thing that triggers. And the more of these things you can identify, the better it's going to be for you moving forward. So you're looking for any time where you're having these emotional periods. So you're making mistakes like jumping into trades that aren't your trades, you're having the kind of fear of missing out, you're revenge trading, whatever it may be, and you're reviewing what you were doing and what you were thinking. So that kind of moves us on to step 2, and that is, what were you thinking when this was going on? It's kind of quite similar to CBT, so cognitive behavioral therapy. And what we're doing, we're trying to take our subconscious, so what's kind of running in the background, and we're bringing it forward. Because when we bring it forward and we become aware of it, we can start to kind of shine a torch on it. And we can look for what's going on, and then we can start to correct it. So you're looking for literally things that you were thinking when this was happening. You're just asking yourself, what was I thinking? And there can be so many different things. Let's say it's early morning and there's a trade setting up, and it's not perfect, but I start thinking to myself, yeah, maybe I should take this trade. I want to take this trade. And I start diving into it, and I start asking myself, what was I thinking when that was going on? So let's say I take the trade and it's a loss. It's a stupid trade. And I start to analyze it, and I think to myself, well, I was thinking it's early in the morning, and if I can get an early morning trade, I'll be able to finish early. And let me tell you, this is something that I used to do all the time, because sometimes you get an early morning trade and you can finish really early, and it's fantastic. That kind of trained me into taking stupid trades, because I thought to myself, I don't want to miss this if it's going to be a good trade, because I can finish early. And that was the type of thought that I was having. Now that kind of expanded out. I kind of dived into it a little bit deeper, and I started to realize that I had this kind of underlying thought that I didn't want to sit at the computer all day because I found it boring. Now, what is something else? Let's say you've been sitting at the computer for all day, and you've skipped past 3 trades because they weren't quite right, but they all would have worked out fantastically. Another trade starts setting up. It's toward the end of the day. You're tired, and you set up and you jump into it without really thinking about it. And when you start to analyze it, what you were thinking, you start to realize that you were thinking things like, I don't want to miss out on this trade. I've already missed out on so many good trades. I've been sitting here all day. Or you're thinking things like, I need to make money today. Or you're thinking things like, if I don't take a trade today, I've completely wasted my time all day. It could be something like, let's say the market has been in a huge trend, and then it pulls back a little bit, but you don't have an area here where you can get into the trade. But you start thinking to yourself things like, if I don't jump in on this, I could miss lots of money. I've already missed so much of the movement. Whatever it is, you're just trying to identify the thoughts you're having. And it's not necessarily just going to be thoughts. Also think about what you were doing, how you were acting, just before it happened and as it was happening. Could be something like, this is something I used to do also. Just before I was having these periods of mistakes, I would be really focusing on the charts, and I would be focusing on the charts for an extended period of time. Perhaps I would skip past lunch, or I would just be watching the price action, which is pointless. Watching the price action for 45 minutes, an hour, just in case something set up. And I would be becoming fatigued. It could be something like that, or it could be something like when you start to change your posture. Whatever it is, you're just trying to find out what is different when this is happening, what thoughts you're having, and how you are acting. Now, once you have those, you're doing it every single day, remember. At the end of each week, you want to review the data that you have gathered. Now, unfortunately, 1 week is not going to be enough, okay? You want to do this over an extended period of time before you really start to look for things. The reason for that is because you're looking for commonalities. You're looking for thoughts that you're having, or you're looking for recurring themes that are causing this emotional trading. And it could be you'll start to notice that it's the fear of missing out, or you could start to notice that it's always early in the morning that it happens, or it's always after you've had 3 break-even trades, or after you've had 2 losses. Whatever it is, you're looking for the commonalities. Once you've found the commonalities, you know what you're looking for. You know the things that you need to start addressing. You know the things that you need to start building up defenses against. And that's when we start to change things. So you're reviewing yourself. You're looking for the thoughts you're having when you're having these cock-ups, or what you're doing. You're then starting to look for the patterns, the commonalities, the things that are happening over and over and over again. Once you start to find these, you start to figure out ways to address it. There's no secret sauce here. There's no magic wand. Just by becoming more aware of what's going on, it's going to help you massively. So if you start to understand it's always in the morning, or it's always after I've had a couple of losses, or it's always late in the day when I've not had any trades, it's always after I've just missed a trade which would have worked out, but I said it wasn't a good enough setup. Just by understanding that, when that happens again, you can be more alert to it. Some of the things you can do, once you've reviewed yourself, so some of the things you can do for your plan. This is not an exhaustive list. You can come up with anything. Write down the common thoughts that you have, or write down the things that you are normally doing before it happens, and stick them next to your computer screen. Before you get into a trade, read it. So usually when I mess up, it's after I've had 2 losses, or usually when I mess up, it's later in the day, or usually when I mess up, it's because I have a fear of missing out. That makes you more aware of things. And then another thing you can do is start asking yourself questions. So those thoughts, just ask yourself the question, am I frustrated because I've missed a couple of trades? And sit back and really think about it. Am I jumping into this because I'm scared I'm going to miss out? Am I jumping into this trade because I just want to finish early? I don't want to sit here all day. As I mentioned, that was one of the things I did, and when I did dive into it deeper, it was because I found sitting at the computer all day really, really boring. So what's something else I could do with that? Implement breaks. Set a timer on your phone every couple of hours, every hour. Stand up, go to the kitchen, have a walk around, go outside, play with your dog if you've got a dog, whatever it may be. Something else that I did, because I noticed I was focusing on the screen too much, I was getting tired, and then I was taking stupid trades. I don't allow myself to just sit and watch the charts. I have to be doing something else. And then I'm only looking every kind of 5 minutes, so as each candle develops. And then when it starts to look slightly promising, I can focus on it for 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Nothing's there, I go back to doing something else. That stops me from becoming exhausted. Now, you are basically, when you're doing this, trying to interrupt the pattern. Interrupt the pattern that leads to this emotional trading, and only you will know what the pattern is. But there's so many things you can do to change the pattern. It's all about identifying when it's starting, stepping in and changing it, or putting things in place that stop you from going into that situation in the first place. So things like the breaks, things like getting up and having a walk, things like asking yourself questions, etc. You have to keep doing this every day. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it for, because emotional trading is funny in that you cannot do it for weeks and weeks and weeks, but if you're not always analysing yourself and staying on top of this, it can come back so quickly. So many people think they've conquered their emotions or conquered emotional trading, and it comes back and it bites them in the ass. You have to be alert to it. You have to understand that this is, once you have your trading plan, the most important thing that you can possibly be doing. Once you've learned your trading plan, you know what you're supposed to be doing. You're fine-tuning it, you're adapting to the market as the market evolves, but you have to stay on top of yourself. You are the thing that is going to make you money once you have the trading plan. But you can only do that if you are trading effectively. Last thing, also incredibly important, realize that you are not perfect. What do I mean by that? You're never going to, as I've mentioned, conquer your emotions. It's not going to happen. You're still going to make mistakes, but you're going to be able to step in a lot faster. So rather than having 15 losses, you're going to have one, and then you're going to jump in and you're going to stop yourself. Rather than completely blowing an account, you're going to have a bad day where you take that stupid trade and it kind of follows you around for the rest of the day. That's what it's all about. I expect every month to have at least one loss, and I kind of give myself 1 to 2. 1 to 2 losses every single month where I have taken a stupid ass trade. And I understand that that's just part of being a trader. It's just part of being human. It still pisses me off. I still get incredibly annoyed at myself, but I review myself. I assess what's going on. I figure out what was happening. I see if I need to implement anything else. But as long as it's only 1 or 2, and I am addressing it, it's no big deal. I consider that part of my trading plan. And by doing that, I'm not being too hard on myself, because when you're too hard on yourself, it's almost like you're on the edge of a cliff and you're you're walking a tightrope, trying to be absolutely perfect. So when you do have a slip up, everything comes crashing down. You have to understand that you will have slip ups. You are only human. It's part of trading. You're never going to be perfect, but you can get on top of this. And it can stop being the thing that pulls you down every time you make progress as a trader. So that is the step-by-step plan that I used and I still use to get on top of and keep emotional trading, trading psychology in the rear view mirror. I promise you, if you're willing to work on yourself, if you're willing to follow these steps, you will see progress. But you have to be honest with yourself, you have to do it religiously, and you have to be willing to implement things that are going to help you to change. Okay guys, so as always, I hope that was helpful. Hope you're all having a fantastic trading, well, we're into a new month. I hope you're all going to have a fantastic trading month. I'm James Orr, and thank you.